Hey bag ladies and bag dudes, today I'm going to be talking about corrugated plastic. I have another Minikin Season 2 preview for you. Fabric by Kath Kidston. I'll be mentioning the spoon theory, the hot stuff oven mitt. I have a demo for making a false bottom, and I have a great giveaway at the end. I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday, my weekly sewing chat. Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday, or if you're in New Zealand or Australia, I suppose it's already Monday, I think. I saw everyone chatting in the comments before we started. I wanted to say to Cheryl, maybe a couple, 2 or 3 days, the kitchen will be all finished, and I'm super sorry for your loss. I know that must be really tough. And I also saw a really long comment from Jean Alvarez right before we got started over on Facebook. Danny's printing out our outline for tonight because he forgot. I wanted to read it because we can't post a really long comment like this on the screen, but I thought it was a really awesome comment. So this is from Jean Alvarez. She said maybe 20 minutes ago before the show, Sarah, it's so nice to know that I can always depend on your honest assessment when reviewing products. It makes it so much easier for me to make my own decisions on their usefulness to me. I also appreciate your tutorials. You are always well prepared when you demonstrate, having everything you need handy at your side. Then watching how you explain each step first and then calmly follow your own instructions gives us confidence in our own abilities to follow you. Even if we aren't as capable as you are when we make ours, at least we know we can improve the next time because we can watch you demonstrate it again. I always seem to be addicted to watching you on Sunday and Tuesday nights. It feels like a true friendship has happened for me, and I'd be surprised if most of your audience didn't echo my thoughts. I will be watching you tonight while we are on vacation, and that is not something I would normally do. I'm a somewhat new bag lady, and I'm actually counting the days until I can get home and finish my tutor bag. Did I mention I'm on vacation? Sending love to you and your family. It's wonderful to see you interact and support each other. Hugs from Jean. So thanks so much, Jean, for taking time out of your vacation to watch. I really do feel like this bag making community everyone is my friend. I feel like I have lots of great friendships that I've made from just people that I've just met online. And when I was kind of laughing in my head when I read the part about even if we aren't as capable as you are when we make ours, because I think that's totally untrue. I feel like a lot of people that make bags and post them and take really great photographs, their skills are well above mine. So thank you, regardless of your skill level, for sewing with my patterns. And I am envious inside when I see some of those finished photographs, definitely. So I see Amy's tuning in from Alaska. I saw someone from Chicago. I think it might have been Kimberly. I'm not 100% sure. I know Tamara's watching from Chicago also. So thanks everyone so much for tuning in. I have to admit, I write my outlines for Sewcial Sunday on Sunday morning usually. And as the day progressed, I kept adding more and more things to my outline, and sentences are kind of on top of each other at this point. So I hope I don't forget anything that I'm supposed to say tonight. There's 1 week left in the Tutor Bag Sew Along over in the Facebook group that Bronwyn and Michelle are hosting. So if you're in the middle of your bag, don't forget to finish that. We'll be giving away some Minikin Season 2 bundles randomly drawn out of everyone that finishes their tutor bag. So that's super exciting. The Tutor Bag Sew Along Week 4 winner is Helena Provenzano Schmitz. So I hope I pronounced all of that correct. Congratulations to you, Helena. Let's see. Oh, another thing that I wanted to mention before I get over to the notion of the week is that Web Sarah came through again. I have a web developer. Her name is also Sarah, but with an H, and I call her Web Sarah. And last week we had a request for, on the website, when you log into your account, for the video purchases to be alphabetized. Danny's reminding me that Tammy requested that. So thanks for the request, Tammy. And the request was for the video purchases to be in alphabetical order. Now that we're starting to accumulate kind of a large library of videos, when you log into your account, Web Sarah has made it so that your videos will be alphabetized so you can find them easily. For instance, if you're looking for the Zeppelin pouch, that'll be at the end of the list. Tammy says, always appreciate Sarah's humbleness. Her tutorials are the best. I suppose the camera guy gets some of the credit too.
That was Tammy's suggestion about the videos.
Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. So yeah, if you'll log into your account, you'll see those changes now. I hope that works well for you, and I'm excited to have anything that's easier for you to navigate the website or anything like that. Let us know, because we're always happy to get to work on that if possible. All right, so my usual reminder, just about everything that I talk about during Sewcial Sunday are things that I've paid for myself. So these are not things that I'm getting paid to talk to you about, but just cool things that I found that I'd like to share with you. And the things that I'm scheduled to talk about tonight during Sewcial Sunday, I link to in the description. So if you're interested in finding out more about any of the fabrics, notions, books, or projects that I talk about during Sewcial Sunday, just check that link in the description and you can find out more there. All right, so I'm not sure if I'm totally oblivious or if this is actually a new product, but I was at Michael's over the weekend with my kids. William wanted some blending pencils and markers, and I happened down the aisle at Michael's where they have the poster boards, and they have these foam core boards for kids that have science fairs. They're like 3 panels to the board, and it kind of when the panels open, kind of sits on the tabletop really nicely. Anyway, it's in that section. Danny, quit distracting me with these. All right, so anyway, I found this and I thought it was perfect for bag making. It's plastic corrugated sheet, and it was $6.50 at Michael's. It was a 20-inch by 30-inch sheet, and it is actually all plastic. So it's corrugated, which means that there's a front and back layer of the plastic, and then there's little vertical, I'm not sure what you call this, Danny, little vertical strips going... Layers, thank you. Little vertical layers that make the corrugated plastic maybe about a 1/4 of an inch thick. And this...
Sort of like a cardboard box has...
Yeah, kind of how cardboard boxes are corrugated. I know they make election signs out of something similar, but there's not always an election going on. So I was super excited to find this at my local Michael's. I'll be sharing with you later how to make a really simple false bottom for a bag, and I'll be inserting the corrugated plastic. But the really nice thing about this is that it's washable because it's made out of plastic. My previous false bottoms I made with foam core board, which since it's got paper layers to it, it'll definitely break down if it goes through the wash or it gets really wet. So I was really excited about finding this corrugated plastic. Again, this piece, I'm linking to Amazon, but I found this at Michael's for $6.50, and you only need a little bit for each false bottom. So I'll be showing you later on in the show. My demonstration will be for how to make a false bottom, but I thought this was really cool, and I was super excited about it. I apologize if you go to Michael's all the time and you've already seen this for a while, but it was my first time coming across it, so I had to share it with you on the show. All right, my Minikin Season 2 sneak preview for tonight is for the Day Trip cell phone wallet, and it's actually 2 different styles. I don't know why, I always try to make things the most complicated for myself that I possibly can, and so I made it in 2 different styles. So this is the vertical style bag. It's got the zipper, as you'll notice on the side. Sorry, Danny, what?
That's the horizontal.
Oh, sorry, horizontal. Okay, not the vertical, the horizontal. Here's the vertical style bag. As you can see, the pocket orientation is different on the 2 depending on which style you prefer. And this magnetic snap in the front of the bag has just enough room for a cell phone. So I've got a Pixel 2 cell phone, which Danny has assured me is a relatively large cell phone. I know, or at least I believe, the new Apples that just came out are a little bit bigger, but my cell phone fits in the pocket with, I would say, 1 inch to spare. So definitely could fit a larger cell phone than mine as well. And here's the vertical. Let me show you my cell phone inside the vertical in case you prefer that kind of style as well. And let me show you the inside. I think I put my cards. I admit I don't have very many cards. I have a couple debit cards and insurance card that I keep in my wallet and a gift card. So I don't have a lot of cards to fill this with, but this is what the inside looks like. And it's got a zipper on both halves and plenty of room for credit cards. There's a bigger pocket in the back for cash or receipts. And I'll open this one up as well. It's the same orientation for this one. And as per the pattern, I adjusted the strap to the length that I liked it. I guess I'll stand up just so you can see how the bag looks at somebody's waist. And you could certainly make the strap longer if you prefer to have a crossbody, but I feel like this is one of the most asked for designs that I've gotten throughout the year. And so I knew when I was working on Minikin Season 2, I for sure wanted to work on a smaller wallet-sized bag that will just fit a cell phone. And so this is what I came up with. So hope you like it. I think I'm most excited about this bag. And I made both of these versions using a chino fabric. So hope you like it. Again, Minikin Season 2 comes out October 31st. All right, so Danny's favorite part of the show, we'd like to invite you, let us know in the comments, go ahead and type right now, either Bag Lady or Bag Dude, and we super love the support, love the bag making community. I know there's been a ton of local, state, and country meetups this month, and we've been doing video calls with them, so we get to chat with people briefly for a few minutes in person and see everybody meeting up, and it's a lot of fun. We had somebody on the meetup this past week. Two of the ladies that went to the meetup actually didn't know that they were neighbors. I don't believe they were actually next door neighbors, but I made the assumption that they lived either on the same street or in the same neighborhood, and they didn't know of each other before as far as the sewing goes. So I thought that was super cool. And yeah, I just love the whole idea of the meetups, people either meeting in person or online, and keeping that dialogue going. So thanks so much for being part of our community. All right, the fabric that I've added to my stash this week is just a few things, but I'm going to step over to the side camera and show you those fabrics right now. These are actually fabrics designed by Kath Kidston, and I wasn't previously super familiar with this fabric designer, but I see bags every so often on Instagram or online made using this fabric, and I'm not sure if it's a regional thing. I don't see a super large amount of Americans working with fabric from this particular designer, but I do see a lot of Europeans and people from the rest of the world sewing with Kath Kidston fabric. So I had to get some and see what everything was all about, and so I went on Etsy and I found a great shop that had a lot of prints, and I linked to the shop that I purchased these fabrics from in the description. So I just got 3 prints. I just wanted to give you a note about the fabrics that I picked up. Just be careful if you're shopping, because there are also a lot of laminate fabrics in designed by Kath Kidston. I accidentally purchased a laminate when I meant to buy all cottons, and so the seller very kindly refunded me so that I could make a different purchase with all cottons instead of laminates. So I really loved this British themed fabric, so I picked a half yard of this one up. I thought this strawberry print was kind of really quaint and like an all-purpose fabric that I could use for maybe a summertime bag. And of course I bought several yards of this pony fabric to make for something for Violet. So I think adorable would be the word that I could use to describe these prints. There's some florals as well, large and small florals, and I just really like this designer, and I'm happy I finally have some fabrics in my stash from her. And I also purchased this one-off. This is designed by Alexander Henry. I know I showed some Alexander Henry fabrics last week, but I saw this spool print that I hadn't seen before, and I thought it was really awesome. Comes in 3 different colorways, and I linked to the shop where I purchased mine, and the other 2 colorways are also listed for you if you're interested in that. All right, so I have a question for you. Let me know in the comments. Just because I mentioned when I was showing those fabrics about Kath Kidston and not seeing those as far as people using them in America, at least widely. Have you ever used Kath Kidston fabrics, or do you have some in your stash? Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. I apologize if I'm uninformed about this designer, but I'd like to know more and perhaps pick up some more fabrics by her in the future. All right, so a viewer let me know after the show last Sunday about this short story called The Spoon Theory. I don't know if you've ever heard The Spoon Theory. I didn't want to read the story on the show because I wanted to respect the author, but it's like a 1.5-page story, and it illustrates what it's like for people that have illnesses, and how they can explain to someone who does not have an illness what it's like going through the day-to-day and just making it to the end of their day. And I know from letters that I've got, emails that I've gotten in the past, that some of our viewers are suffering from some sort of chronic illness, and so I thought I wanted to link to the Spoon Theory because I wanted to hopefully help people with chronic illness illustrate what it's like to their friends and family that do not suffer from an illness, how it's difficult for them to do things like go out to dinner, have guests over, things like that. I really got a lot out of this story, and I also thought the spoon theory was a great story for people that do not suffer from a chronic illness. I don't, but it really helped me to understand. I certainly have friends and family that do. It really helped me to understand what it's like in another person's shoes. So like I said, it's only a page-and-a-half story, and if you have some time during the week, maybe you'll take a few minutes out and read the spoon theory. And again, the link is in the description, and I really got a lot out of reading it. And I appreciate, as always, shares of different things, not only sewing related, but things like the spoon theory as well. So thank you for that. On an unrelated note, I had to talk about the fact that I feel like the past 2 or 3 months, I've been tired a lot lately. Generally, I've been sleeping well, but in the middle of the day, I always feel like I have to have a nap. And I don't know if it's just a coincidence or what, but because we're working so hard on getting Minikin Season 2 ready, like I've been working overtime. I work my full work day, my normal work day, and then I stay up late, and I get up in the middle of the night working on finalizing the patterns, getting the patterns ready for filming the videos, all that stuff. So I don't know what it is about deadlines, but I feel like a fire has been lit under me. Like I cannot wait to, I wake up early in the morning to get through my work day anyway, but it's like I can't wait. Like I'm actually looking forward tonight, you know, that the fact that I might be waking up in the middle of the night so I can come down here and get some work done. Usually on Sundays, we visit my grandmother, and then Sunday afternoon when we come back, I feel like I have to lie down, and then I have to force myself to make dinner. Sometimes I don't feel like making dinner, but today at 3 o'clock I started making some chicken noodle soup in the Instant Pot, and like I was like, all right, let's go. Even Violet wanted to have ice cream after the show tonight, and I said, let's go get ice cream before the show because I've got my outline, I'm all set up, I'm ready to go. Let's go get that ice cream. So I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm so worried about getting Minikin Season 2 finished on time that I'm working myself overtime, but it's the whole fact that I'm doing that is making me really excited. Like tonight, I told Danny before the show, I said, you know, after the show, I want to film a few intro outros for the video. So that's basically just the introduction of when I'm talking in the beginning of the instructional video. Grab your supplies and let's get started, that kind of thing. And then the outro is the end part where I say, if I can do it, so can you. I'm like, yeah, let's film those after the show tonight, and then I'm gonna stay up and I'm gonna edit some more patterns. And like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but like I have so much energy because I have this deadline and all these things to do. So I don't know, hopefully it will continue after we finish Minikin Season 2, because I don't really like feeling tired in the middle of the day. I don't like taking a nap and feeling like I have to force myself to do things like make dinner. So I don't know. Hopefully it's not just a fluke. Hopefully it continues. Keep my fingers crossed for that. All right, in lieu of the book review for tonight, I'm going to talk about another pattern, and it's something that I purchased a couple weeks ago, and I thought it looked interesting when I saw it online, so I figured I'd buy one and check it out. So I'm going to pop over to that side camera and show you the Hot Stuff oven mitt. So this is what the pattern cover looks like. It comes with a silicone sleeve to make just one oven mitt, but you can buy refills. So this is what the silicone oven mitt looks like. So it's got sort of raised circles and lines on it. And the whole point of the pattern is that you assemble an oven mitt with fabric, and here's basically, it's just the template. It instructs you how to sew the oven mitt together. This silicone is actually sewn into the project, and it's basically just extra protection for your oven mitts. I know I have some oven mitts made out of canvas fabric and quilt batting and insulated fleece, but sometimes if I'm holding a pan for a really long time, it starts to get hot. So just a neat little project from Around the Bobbin. It's called the Hot Stuff Oven Mitt, and I'm really curious to make some for Christmas. I thought it would be a really interesting Christmas gift and something cool that I've never seen before. And with the pattern comes just this one silicone sleeve, and you can buy refills if you want to make more, if you have the pattern and you just want to make some more. So I thought that it was just a cool little something that I wanted to share with you. All right. Oh, another thing that I wanted to share with you, I had Violet bring this down right before the show, another last minute addition to my Sewcial Sunday outline. I think it was a couple First Fridays ago, but Anita, and her handle on social media as Queen of Creative, was having a fundraiser for her grandson. Her grandson's 1, and he unfortunately needs heart surgery. And so the family was raising money so they could the family members could take several weeks off of work, and because they had to travel out of state, I believe they were traveling to Pittsburgh for the surgery. They were raising money for all of the costs involved in getting family members off work and hotel rooms and such for being there for the surgery. And so I donated money after I saw that she mentioned and linked to her GoFundMe page for that, and I was just happy to donate the money. And after the fact, I realized it wasn't only a fundraiser, but they were doing a raffle for a quilt. So I didn't even know about that at the time that I donated the money, but somehow I won the raffle for the quilt. And I just wanted to show you the quilt. It came in the mail this week, and the quilt was for William. So William's going to be 12 this year, and he's not super excited about things that I make him anymore, not really. But when this quilt came, he told me how much he loved it, and then that night when I put it on his bed before we went to bed, he told me twice in a row, "Oh, Mama, I love this quilt so much. Mama, I love this quilt so much." So I just wanted to show you. I don't think I'll be able to show you the whole quilt because it's a rather large quilt, but I just wanted to share. And Anita and her friends each made blocks for the quilt. It's a superhero quilt. So these are all paper pieced blocks, and it was quilted so beautifully, and it's got superheroes for the backing, but let me just show you. I'll show you as much as I can. So these are all paper pieced blocks. There's a huge Black Panther in the middle, and let me see if I could share the bottom also.
And Black Panther's his favorite movie.
Yeah, William's favorite movie of all time is Black Panther, so he super loves this quilt. Yeah, I was very surprised because, like I said, he's not super into sewn items anymore, but he loves it, and I just wanted to share it with you. And yeah, it's amazing. The blocks, you can find those blocks and even more paper piece blocks for other characters like Harry Potter on the website Fandom in Stitches. So there's lots of other things. I'm trying to think what else I saw in there. Princess Bride, Harry Potter, and basically any cartoon character you could think of, Angry Birds. There's tons of stuff on there. So go check it out, especially if you're into foundation paper piecing. So I wanted to ask right now, if you're watching on Facebook, if you enjoy our live shows or any of our sewing videos, if you would humor us and hit the share button right now, which will share this video with your other sewing friends on Facebook. Regardless if you're watching our video either on Facebook or YouTube, if you could at least hit the like button, which is the little picture of the thumbs up. The likes and shares helps us out more than you can know, and Facebook and YouTube look very kindly on videos that get a lot of likes and shares, and they consider sharing our videos with other people that may not have seen them before but have similar interests. And because Danny and I watch the comments at least a half hour before the show every Sunday, and we can see in the comments a lot, people mention, "Oh, it's my first live show, it's my first time here." So your likes and shares, we know for sure, definitely are bringing those new people on board. So thank you so much for doing that. We really, really appreciate it. Okay, so my demonstration for tonight is a really quick one, but it's, I asked Danny earlier today, I said, "Did we ever do a demonstration for a false bottom?" He said, "I think so." But I looked through my notebook, and I have this notebook where I have all my outlines for Sewcial Sunday from this year since January, and I didn't see one for a false bottom, so I apologize if I did one from last year, but as I hadn't done one from this year, and especially since I have that new corrugated plastic, I wanted to show you how to do it. It's really easy. It's like a quick 5-minute fix. So I'm going to pop over to the side camera and show you how to do it. Okay, so for the false bottom, you just need your corrugated plastic, which I showed you at the beginning of the show, and you'll need 2 pieces of fabric. So the way to determine how large to make these 2 pieces of fabric is you'll finish your bag first, and you can make a false bottom for nearly any bag, but you'll want to measure the finished dimensions of the bottom of the bag minus the seam allowance. So I just arbitrarily decided to make my false bottom 12 inches by 6 inches. So I cut 2 pieces of fabric and I placed them right sides together, and I sewed 3 of the edges using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So after I sewed those 3 edges, I just clipped the corners. So I used my scissors to cut diagonal across the corners, and then I turned the fabrics right side out and pressed. So here's what the fabric looks like after I turned it right side out and pressed it. I used my precision turning tool to poke out the corners, and then just rolled the seams with my fingers to get a nice press on all 3 edges. All right, so because I cut my fabrics 12 inches by 6 inches, I cut my corrugated plastic a little bit smaller. So I actually cut the corrugated plastic 11 1/4 of an inch by 5 1/4 of an inch. So that's basically my dimensions that I had before, minus 3/4 of an inch on 2 of the sides. And so the corrugated plastic just needs to be cut a little bit smaller so that it fits snugly inside the fabric. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and slide that in between the 2 layers. And like I said, I wanted it to be a snug fit, so I'm just going to go ahead and slowly push that corrugated plastic down toward that short end where the crease is. And then you want to just leave yourself a little bit of room where the raw edge is. So there's 2 ways that you can close up that opening. I tend to take the easy way, and so I would finger press the raw edges toward the inside by 1/4 of an inch, and then kind of just push that corrugated plastic down in the layers and machine stitch that opening closed by 1/8 of an inch. That's what I would do. You can also slip stitch this opening closed if you prefer not to see those visible top stitching from the 1/8 of an inch. So really simple and easy method how to make a false bottom. If you use a waterproof material like that corrugated plastic, you can leave that false bottom in the bag when you wash it, or if you use something else like the foam core board, which is what I used to use, you just want to take that false bottom out of the bag before you wash it. But super nice and sturdy. It'll take a ton of weight, and as you can see, I'm bending this as hard as I can, and it's not going to break. So really great idea. I love the idea of a false bottom because it stops the bottom of your bag from bowing down under the weight of putting heavy items in it. So it's a good idea, especially if you want to keep your bag's shape. So I have a question for you. Let me know in the comments. Have you made a false bottom before? You could just let me know yes or no in the comments, and I'm curious to see. And I'm going to check on the comments as they roll through. I'm curious to see how many of you have made a false bottom before. All right, so time to get over to the giveaways. I actually have 2 giveaway winners for this week. We actually 2 weeks ago had a Sewing Angel that purchased a Minikin Season 2, so we're going to be giving away 2 Minikin Season 2 tonight. I've already let both of those people know on social media in the comments that they are the winners. So the first winner is Kathy DeReese, and Kathy already emailed me, so congratulations to Kathy. The second winner is Lance Ingram, so congratulations to you both, and thanks again to that Sewing Angel that purchased that Minikin Season 2 bundle, or at least a gift certificate for the bundle when it comes out. Thank you so much, and that was a lovely, sweet thing that you did. So before we get over to the giveaway for this week, I'm going to answer some questions live. So if you have a question for me, let me know in the comments, either a sewing related question, bag making related question, a question about a tool. Let me know in the comments. Danny's going to put some questions on the screen, and I'll answer them in a bit. I also wanted to mention Brian. I hope you have a great time in Disney World. I saw Brian in the comments. He's leaving tomorrow morning for Disney. I'm super, super, super jealous, but I hope you have a great time. Lillian says, Sarah, Danny, I think this is important. I think the grandson loved that quilt. Can we make one for him? Can you repeat the site where we can donate money for the family? Thanks. So Anita's GoFundMe, I think, expired. I was hoping that she'd, because her grandson's surgery got moved to February, I was hoping she would want to put a new link up there, but
she's actually on YouTube right now.
Oh, Anita's, okay, that's Anita. That's Queen of Creative. Anita had the GoFundMe that I won that raffle quilt for with all the superheroes, so maybe Anita will consider posting a new GoFundMe. And again, her grandson is 1 year old, and he needs heart surgery, and the GoFundMe was for the family so that they could be with him while he has his surgery, and the surgery is out of state, so not a small feat. It's not like driving 30 minutes across town, completely in another state. We'll keep you posted on that, and if we have any information or updates, we'll post it in the Facebook group, and I'll let you know on the live show as well.
Many people asked, how do you cut the corrugated plastic?
That's a good question. Let me also answer that follow-up question. The paper piece blocks, the website is Fandom in Stitches, so if you just Google Fandom in Stitches, it'll take you to that website, and there's tons of blocks. I mean, like hundreds and hundreds of blocks, and they're all free, which is amazing. All right, a question about cutting that corrugated plastic, how you cut it. I just marked mine with my friction pen, and I cut it with scissors. I I used to cut my foam core board with my rotary cutter and cutting mat, so I'm sure you could do the same thing with the plastic. I just wanted to do it quickly and not dull my blade, so I used the scissors, my paper scissors, not my fabric scissors, and it cut fine with the scissors as well. But perhaps if you have an old blade that's wearing out, that would do the trick to cut that corrugated plastic as well. All right, so let's see what other questions are coming through. Marcia says, would you use the board in place of a stabilizer bottom? So for that, the false bottom that I made, I believe my personal opinion is that I would just use that corrugated plastic as a false bottom in that little sleeve. I wouldn't, I don't know, I can't see myself sewing it into the bag in any way unless I'm making some sort of sleeve like I did in my Lilium laptop bag for that 1/2 inch craft foam, which I would never want to sew over. I could see that being an option, but other than that, I don't think I would use it in place of an interface in like a Peltex where you can actually insert it, you know, have your fabric attached to it while you're working on the pattern. It's nothing like that. Deborah says, is there any way to make the Renegade bag without attaching the lining zipper at the end? Oh, that's a great question. So for the Renegade bag, the original pattern instructions for this bag is kind of what's known as a drop-in lining. So basically you assemble the whole exterior first, then the whole lining, and then you drop in the lining, which is why it's called a drop-in lining. You drop in that lining and you either machine stitch or hand stitch the lining to the wrong side of the zipper. There's another way around it, and it actually calls for a completely different construction of the bag. Another way you could do it would be to I'm trying to make this brief and not overly complicated for the show, but you'd basically be sewing this zipper panel, the exterior, and the lining fabrics to the zipper, so the zipper would already be finished. And then you'll just keep these edges over here loose. So you would be sewing the right side of this exterior zipper panel to the right side of your main panels, which are the front and the back of the bag. And then same thing, because this edge is loose, you'd be sewing the lining main panels to the lining zipper panel, which is this portion. In order to do that, in order to keep everything loose, you need to not top stitch directly across this end from one end to the other. You need to leave yourself a little bit of fabric loose. So I recommend about 5/8 of an inch you leave free from your top stitching. So what that means is you'll start and stop 5/8 of an inch away from each end, and so this end, these edges will be loose to keep your lining and your exterior separated. This method is demonstrated if you own the Cumberland backpack sewing pattern. I give you 3 different finishing methods, and one of those finishing methods is basically what I just described here. So there is definitely a way to do this without making it a drop-in lining. Carla says, how have you used decorative ribbons when you sew your purses? I think I only actually have one in the sewing room right now, but I used Renaissance ribbons in my filigree double zip pouch pattern. So these are the ribbons right here, and I also used the orange as a bit of piping. I just wanted, I guess, extra visual interest and to kind of keep the ribbons separated by this solid strip of color. I have some Tula Pink ribbons that I got that I actually haven't shown yet, some brand new Tula Pink ribbons. I'll show those next Sunday on the show. But yeah, this is just, you can either use a solid fabric like I did for the body of your bag, or even a print would look really great. So ribbons really add a punch of color and visual interest to a pouch or a bag. Shannon says, what size of zipper is needed for the Essential Oils bag? I've already ordered my foam inserts from your site and want to start on this bag as soon as the patterns are released. I think mine's right over here. So I have an essential oil pattern coming out as part of Minikin Season 2, and this is one of the projects. There's also a smaller travel case with elastics to hold either nail polishes or essential oils. They're both made with handbag zippers. I liked handbag zippers for these 2 projects because the handbag zippers are wider, so they're generally 1.25 inches in width. And it just makes it easier to sew the project because, at least for my sewing machine, I don't necessarily have to use my zipper foot for sewing with a handbag zipper, and that's that insert that she was talking about. Shelly says, Sarah, how long have you been making bags? I have happened on you here recently. I love all kinds of bags, and I am looking forward to being able to learn how to make my own. So I first started sewing as an adult in 2010. I had two friends that both had blogs already, and I wanted to start a blog also. So I started my blog in September of 2010. I named it Sew Sweetness, same name as my pattern company today. And I was basically relearning how to sew as an adult. So I was making little burp cloths, little tops for Violet because she was really little back then. And my friends were making quilts. So I made a quilt once in a while, but I found that I liked making bags because they were quicker finishes than quilts. And I stumbled upon a book by Amy Butler called Style Stitches. So there were 12 bag patterns in this particular book. And I had a friend with another blog who had a sew along for this book. So every month out of the year, we worked on one of the projects from the book because there were 12 projects in there. And I realized I loved making bags. I loved Amy Butler's writing style, so I was totally fangirling on Amy Butler and her bags and her bag making book. And I felt like these were actually patterns that I could understand, unlike commercial sewing patterns, which I had not had a lot of success with. But that's how I got started with making bags, and still making bags today. Linda says, are you planning to restock the black and beige alligator snake print cork? I love it and want to reorder. Some of the prints, especially the animal prints, my manufacturer has been out of for some time. I definitely do try to order them every time I place an order, but they had a 2-month, I'm not sure what they call it, not a holiday, but the 2-month, we'll call it a production holiday. So they were not necessarily producing new fabrics, but they were, I'm not sure what the purpose of the production holiday is, but anyway, I couldn't get any new fabrics or reprints for 2 months, the end of the summer basically. So I will definitely try to reorder those if possible. I believe they have some new prints and designs coming out, so I'll keep you updated on that. Allison says, I want to give a shout out to 2 angels who helped me this weekend. Laura Downs and Bronwyn were so patient and very helpful in answering my questions all this weekend. So I love to hear that. I met Laura in the past, and Bronwyn I've met virtually, and I know they're both super helpful people, and I definitely love to hear that kind of feedback. Christy says, can you add another zipper pull to zipper tape to make it open like on your essential oil case? I'm struggling to find these in the UK. So if you have zippers by the yard or zipper roll, you can add your own zipper heads. We sell these double pull zippers that already have the 2 pulls on them in my shop in the 30-inch and 40-inch handbag sizes. I've seen them elsewhere as well, but we do ship worldwide in case you're interested in these particular double pull zippers. Gwen says, did you hear that Amy Butler is getting out of the fabric business? I know, I got an email about it a couple weeks ago or so. And I was so sad. Her fabric line that's coming out, I believe this fall is her very last one. I feel like she's been sort of a trailblazer in the quilting and sewing industry as far as the look of her patterns. Her patterns were the first that I ever bought. Like I mentioned, her book Style Stitches was super important to me on my path to sewing, and her fabric was the first that I ever bought also. And I think it was totally different than what was previously available. So definitely be sad that her fabrics won't be coming out in the future, but I know she's on to bigger and better things, so I definitely wish her the best of luck. Linda says, any chance of carrying a plastic template for the hexagon shape for the cute bag you have done a demonstration on? Oh, I hadn't thought of that before, but we're getting ready to order some new acrylic templates, so I will add that to the list for sure. Yeah, I'll be looking through Minikin Season 2 and seeing which templates we can order. I know one template for sure I will not be ordering because the pattern piece is like gigantic. Like I don't see how we could ship that big of a acrylic template without it getting broken. Debbie says, would you consider having a block of the month quilt along? Everyone makes the same block with their own fabric. So I've actually been talking to someone behind the scenes, and I don't have anything to announce yet, but you've kind of read my mind. So I'll let you know as soon as we have any updates about that. Danny's like, oh no, what is she doing now? All right. I see a question for Barbara coming through. Will you be doing, will you be going into business making your own fabric? So several years ago, I tried to design fabric. I designed 2 lines of fabric for art gallery fabrics. The first one was called Jungle Avenue, and the second one was called Fantasia. And I found out through that process that pattern designing and fabric design are both full-time jobs. And I wanted to do the best that I could do at the thing that I love the most, which is bags and bag making and pattern designing for bags. And so I decided to stick with that. So unfortunately, I do not have plans to design any more fabric, but I will happily buy any Tula Pink or Allison Glass or Chino fabrics that come out, because I'm huge fans of all 3 of those designers. Anita says, we were discussing earlier if we can join different state sewing groups, I can get to North Carolina easier when I am not home here in South Carolina. So I don't see any problem in joining more than one of the state groups, especially if you're close to borders like North Carolina and Kentucky or something like that. So I don't have a problem with that. Sherry says, Jennifer, I believe she signs all her books ordered from her. Yeah, if you order Windy City bags from my website, I sign all of the books myself, and I usually sign them to the person that has ordered them. And you also get a free paper pattern in addition to the book, and those come together in the same package. Those go through the mail. Sandy says, is there any way the template could be in full size? I think you're asking about the acrylic templates. I don't want to say no, but kind of no, because for the acrylic templates, the bigger the piece, the more expensive the template gets. And full-sized acrylic templates, I completely understand where you're coming from, because I know a lot of people like to not cut in the fold. They like to have their full pattern piece, but those acrylic templates, if they start getting full pieces, especially if it's a bigger piece, they get really expensive and they get harder to ship too. We're always concerned about broken templates. It doesn't happen often, but once in a while it does happen, and usually with the bigger templates. Linda says, yes, what about acrylic templates for Minikin Season 2? I think we're going to have, so there's 13 patterns in Minikin Season 2. 3 of the patterns have no pattern pieces, so they're just squares or rectangles. And the one pattern piece, like I said, the pattern piece is like gigantic, so we won't have one for that, but I think there's going to be 9 acrylic templates for Minikin Season 2. I haven't spoken to Ed yet about making those templates, but that's on my list for tomorrow morning. Diana says, any plans for a purse organizer in the future? I actually do have it in I keep sort of an idea file in my inbox. A lot of people email me suggestions, and I save a lot of those suggestions, and the purse organizer is in there. So I hope to get to that for next year, because it's kind of high on my list. Donna says, have you ever used a quilt block on a bag? How big was it? What kind of a bag? I actually do. I'll show it to you next Sunday if I remember. I'll leave myself a note. It was a foundation paper piece quilt block. I think it finished at, I want to see either 12.5 inches or 16 inches. It was a New York Beauty, so it was a really big block, and I put one on the front and the back of the bag. I never designed a pattern for the bag. It was just kind of a self-drafted thing, but I'll write myself a note. I'm kind of embarrassed to say New York Beauty. Write myself a note. I'm kind of embarrassed to say I currently use that bag to hold all of our tax papers, like documents and folders that we've gotten from our accountants. So that's what I'm using that bag for right now. But I wrote myself a note, and I'll show it to you next Sunday if I can find it. Donna says, which interfacing do you use when you sew with a chino? Do you skip the SF 101? So that's a great question. So because the chino is sort of a canvas type fabric, this is a really good example. So this particular flap, I did not stabilize it as called for in my own pattern with the SF 101 or the Pellon Shape Flex on the flap for the exterior fabric. This one I did stabilize it with the SF 101 because I made this bag first, and I liked the flap. You probably can't see it on camera, but the flap that I added the SF 101 to, even though this is canvas fabric and technically I would think in my head normally I wouldn't have to stabilize that, I liked the one that I stabilized more. This one just seemed a little bit more flimsy, this little flap right here. So it depends on the canvas fabric. My general tip with canvas fabric is if you're using it in the lining, you can generally skip the SF 101. For this particular fabric, I don't know if it was because of the weave. The canvas wasn't as structured or stiff looking, so I did add the SF 101 in this flap, and I was really happy with it. Mary Grace says, any plans on carrying more or full thread colors? I've had requests for that before to match the Tula Pink fabrics. I admit I sort of sat on that for a little while, so I would like to carry more colors. I'm just not sure what colors to carry. I feel like the neutrals sell a lot better, like black, white, and gray, those types of colors. I'm honestly just not sure what colors to add, so let me know. You can either email me or let me know in the comments. Anita says, Danny, can you see my previous comment? It won't allow it to post since it contains the GoFundMe link. No? Can't see it? Okay. We'll take care of that after the show. Maybe we can post that in the Facebook group. I'll post it, or send me an email and I'll post it in the Facebook group after the show. All right, Danny says that's it for tonight. Let's get over to the giveaway. Thanks again for asking all those questions. Your questions, what makes the show, at least in my mind, at least the end of the show, really exciting, because they're all really smart questions, and thanks for being a part of the show and contributing to the live show. So the giveaway for this week is, again, another Minikin Season 2 bundle. That bundle's coming out October 31st. So the winners this month will be emailed a free code after Minikin Season 2 comes out, and their bundle will be for free. So all you have to do to enter my giveaway is answer my question in the comments. I'll be drawing the winner. It'll be a randomly drawn winner at the end of the day this Saturday. I'll announce the winner on next Sunday's show, and all you have to do is type in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube the answer to this question, and the question is, what time do you usually wake up in the morning? So just let me know the answer to that question in the comments. What time do you usually wake up in the morning? I usually wake up between 6 and 6:30, and I like to come down. I prefer to just start working. I don't drink coffee, so I believe that starting work right away in the morning is what wakes me up. So thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday. I had a great time. Danny and I are going to do some more filming now. I'm really excited to do that. I hope you have a great week. I'll see you next Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time, and happy sewing. Bye, everybody.